I might, excuse me, I might get a little more hate from England on this one. But, the Queen of England acted like a sweet old nice lady. Everybody loves Queen. But you do realize that your Queen tore down the institution of the Church of England, and she gave your country over to foreigners while she was alive, did nothing to stop it, did everything to promote it, that she abandoned her subjects all over the world to genocide in Africa and made a mess of Rhodesia. And nothing's really left of the British Empire. So why y'all like her so much? I don't know. Like a lot of people like Justinian because he built all these buildings and he retook territory even though they didn't have the resources to maintain that much territory. But he bankrupted the state, and then there was nothing left after he was gone. But they didn't really see it happen while he was alive, so they didn't really blame him as much as they should have blamed him. They call him Justinian the Great. People don't like certain kings of England because they lost territory in France. But if they lost all of England, they still celebrate them. And then Beverly Hills School District mandating that they fly the Israeli flag. This is the United States of America. This is not Israel. You're going to mandate that a foreign flag be flown in a school district because some Jews got bullied? Come on now. This is just insane, really. This is insane. And they're saying it's to combat anti-Semitism. They're saying people ain't supporting Israel enough on campus. So they're mandating the Israeli flag be flown in Beverly Hills School District. This is America. Hello, Jasmine Young. This is America. This isn't Israel. How are you going to mandate an Israeli flag be flown? I ain't with that at all. A lot of people teach that you're supposed to support Israel, but why are you supposed to support them? Are you supposed to support them? And who is Israel? Who is Israel? Is it some witchcraft, Kabbalah practicing Khazarians? I doubt it. That's not who Israel is. Are the Pharisees the real successors of the Israeli people? Are the Pharisees and all the rabbis really Israel, the Israel of God? I don't think so. But I think that's just absolutely bizarre that a school district is mandating that the Israeli flag be flown. It should be the American flag. They really own some bullshit. And that's definitely not going to combat anti-Semitism. It's probably going to make people resent Israel more. I'm from Georgia. The dog's pushing up against me, old dude. He wants attention all the time. He's a good dog. He's gotten big, but we spoiled him when he was a little puppy. And he still wants to climb all over you and jump in your lap. He's a little... What's up? What's up? I saw something else besides the whole Israeli flag flying and everything. I saw a man get arrested in the UK because he said he liked bacon and some Muslims nearby got upset about it, and so they arrested him. That's really crazy right there. You can thank the Queen of England for that too. Is it hard to grow a beard? Well, God does the growing of the beard. you can just not shave it off, and then he just gives you whatever he gives you. Is that a Chevy truck? It is. It's a Chevy Silverado, 2004, 8-cylinder. I bought it from Kyle White. I didn't jack it up like that. And that's a clay road. I ain't home. That's a pine tree. There's a turned over tree for that Helene storm. It turned a lot of trees over. Any tree that didn't really have a tap root that hit clay and turned to the side got folded over. It's rain, so we'll probably see some deer tracks. And we might even see a deer. Might even see a hog. I hope we don't see a hog, because they come in groups of hogs and they'll attack you too. If there's enough of them, even if you shoot one of them, they'll keep coming. But we should be good. There's enough human activity on this end of the road. If you go all the way to the end of it around the bend, you probably want to bring a gun with you. Any of y'all saw that video early with that? I don't know if it was a heron or a crane. Had his wings all spread out. He wasn't over a nest or any eggs that I could see. I wonder why he was doing that. Looked like a crane out there praying. I'm a Toyota fan. So I look sick. I bought what I had to buy. I had to have a way to get to work. And somebody, I think somebody trafficking dope or something, somebody tried to pass me illegally on a solid line around the left side of me while I was turning at an intersection, even though I'd had my blinker on for a long time. And then they scrubbed up against my truck. I had a white Ford truck. And it messed it up. It totaled it. And they fled the scene of the accident. And the insurance company gave me enough money to finish paying off that truck and buy the one I got now. A coworker was selling the Chevy Silverado, and I had enough money to finish paying off the other one and buy that one with the insurance money. So that's what I did, because I needed a truck right then. I needed to get to work, and I just need a truck. I buy trees and plant trees and move fence posts and tools and everything else. I just need a truck. So there was a truck and I bought it. I didn't really care what it was. Toyotas are good trucks. Toyotas last a good while. But where I live in Wheeler County, Georgia, no one wants to work on any foreign vehicles. All the mechanics, they know American vehicles. And it takes them longer to order a part of. So I like Ford, because, which now Ford isn't even the same company that it used to be, really. But what I like about Ford is, Henry Ford, he used to put the protocols of the learned elders of Zion in the waiting rooms at his Ford dealerships. So I like that company for that reason. And I like that they didn't take the bailout money. When the auto industry, all them car companies were going to go out of business, the government said, oh, there's some deer tracks right there. Told you. They said that, all the banker bailout money and all the government just got more in debt to the Jewish bankers, printed up a lot more money. And they bailed out the auto industry. And when they bailed out the auto industry, Ford didn't take the money. Ford didn't put that on the taxpayer, and their stock took a really big hit, and they didn't burden the taxpayer, and they recovered, and I think they should be honored for that, because every other car dealership in America took the bailout money, hurt the taxpayer, and Ford's the only one that didn't. And everybody always made fun of Ford. My granddaddy didn't have a Ford. He had a Chevrolet. His daddy had a Chevrolet. Now, Randy Purvis, on my mama's side of the family, they had Fords. But I always didn't really care too much one way or another. I just got to be able to get to work and go home. I mean, like a farm vehicle. But see, I wouldn't have chose the one I had. If just in that situation, I had to get one because it uses more gas being an 8-cylinder. But then there's a trade-off. It's got more power. Not that I've ever needed it so far. Well, down here, further down, there's deer tracks, but deer are crossing up closer to the road than they normally do. Oh, it's not deer season. They always taste good. It ain't really good to hunt them out of season any kind of way because they have ticks on them and stuff. It's good to hunt them in the winter time. Plus, that's when other food's scarce anyway, which there's really no such thing as food scarcity in Wheeler County, Georgia. Like really, every single one of them pine trees, that layer between the wood and the outer bark can be boiled and ate and be food. All kind of vines, all kind of grass roots, all kind of fruit and nuts, all kind of wild game, all kind of wild, like, if you know what to eat, it's everywhere. Can you say free Palestine? I can say free Palestine, and I do believe, you know, a lot of people in America are deceived about what Israel is. Israel is the Rothschilds building a one world government, and they want to kill the Christians. And the Christians give them money, and they give Israel money. I cannot believe it. But the Christians give a lot of money to Israel, and Israel wants to kill all the Christians. They want to enact Noahide laws. They want to have a world court in Jerusalem and kill Christians. And Christians, because some TV preachers told them, because they read some. See, the Jews pretty much controlled most of the publishing houses, book publishers in America. And they published these Bible commentaries from Cyrus Scofield and John Nelson Darby. And it really changed the way people interpreted the Bible. And it really doesn't make sense. But you know, if everybody's preaching the same thing and everybody's showing the same tools and charts and everything, everybody starts to believe what nobody used to believe. That God has some sort of parallel covenant with the church in Israel, and that Israel, you know, these Jews, they believe that Jesus is burning in hell in excrement and semen. They believe that his mother was a whore. They believe that he was a sorceress, and they want him dead, and they want the people who follow him dead. But they don't say it. They're really the like supreme hypocrites. Remember Jesus always calling the Pharisees hypocrites? He always called them hypocrites because they were. And every rabbi laid his hands on another rabbi and transferred the authority. There's an unbroken chain from the Pharisees that killed Jesus to the Jews of today. Now they converted Khazarians and Edomites and all kind of other people and brought them in. Jesus told them they'd go far away to convert people and make them twice the sons of the devil that they are. He said they were because they wanted to kill him. They were saying, no, we don't want to kill you. You're demon possessed. But meanwhile, they are plotting to kill him, and they do kill him. So he's telling the truth. He knows the intention of their heart, and they're lying about it. And they're calling him a bastard then. They're saying, we know who our father is. Our father's Abraham. And Jesus tells them, no, you're not really like Abraham. You don't really have faith in God. He says, you're like your father, the devil, who loves to lie and deceive, the father of lies. And he said, you're like your father, the devil, who's a murderer in the beginning. And they prove him right by their actions. By their fruits, you know them, you know. But anyway, they've continued in their... Jesus told them that they'd do the lust of their father, meaning the devil. They'd do the desire of the devil. And they rejected him, and he said that they would accept a false Christ. He said, a man will come in his own name, and you'll accept him. And that's, I guess, to come. And, but people are really misled into supporting Israel. You know the prophecies of the Antichrist? How he invades, he comes down through the Jezreel Valley. Look at the Rothschilds. Look at how Israel settled come from north to south down through Palestine. Look at how they divided the land up. And so Christians are trained to believe that the United Nations is at fault, or someone's at fault to make this division between Palestine and Jew, and they should give it all to the Jew. But that's not what they're not looking at this prophecy. How God has not regathered Israel back into Israel and given them the land. There is talk about Jesus coming back and gathering the Israel of God into Jerusalem, and there being a new Jerusalem, and Jesus being the King of Jerusalem, ruling forever, and there being peace on earth. And in the Old Testament prophecies, it talks about when God gathers Israel into the land to live in peace. That has not happened. The Jews, lusting for money and power, full of greed, they deceived a lot of people through lying. They initiated the world wars. They forced their way, not by turning back to God, not by repenting of their evil. They still have their Talmud with a loophole for every law Moses ever made. They still go back. They go in there killing everyone, shooting babies, dividing up the land, not letting people be able to go to work, making them have other license plates, so they got to drive the long way around. And the Palestinians genetically are more Israeli than these Rothschilds ever were. When these empires come in and they conquered Israel, or they conquer any place, it's normally the royalty that they strip away. The poorest of the poor they keep in the land to be the peasants in the land. The poorest of the poor never have that same target on their back when foreign invaders come and take over. There have always been Israelites in Palestine. They converted to Christianity, a lot of them. They converted to Islam, a lot of them. Some of them were Jews even. But these Ashkenazi Jews, they even genocide the Sephardic Jews and Jews of other countries. They're extremely racist. They even say that in the Talmud that 1,000 lives of the non-Jew is worth one Jewish life. They say that we're animals in the shape of a human to be their servants. They really believe, as part of their religion, the Jews believe that everybody else is just their slaves. And Americans, of all people, give them money. Can you believe that shit? It's insane. It's insane. It's really insane how if everybody hears the same lie over and over and over again, they start to believe it. Because it's easier and lazier to just go with the current thing, the social pressure, and not challenge or ask any questions or do any research. But people should really stop giving money to Israel. And then you have states in America passing laws where it's illegal to boycott Israel. Can you believe that shit? We're supposed to be about freedom. We really messed up in the beginning because we wanted freedom from England and we took Jewish money to do it. And we've got all these crooked Masons everywhere. The whole government's been the deep swamp since the beginning. You had Alexander Hamilton was a Rothschild agent leading George Washington astray. But George Washington knew he was a Mason, become a Grand Master in the Lodge. You got Thomas Jefferson saying, hey, let's not have a centrally controlled state bank. And then you've got Hamilton saying to George Washington, yeah, let's do it. The Masons, they're always greedy for money, and they always pass money back up to the Jews. They don't even know who they serve. And then anyway, I'm going to just calm down. I'm going to relax. I'm going to just enjoy nature. There's a maple tree. I'm not giving them no money. But yeah, I see no reason why they should have any right to Palestine. And if you want to do some sort of collective punishment reparations, give them some area in Germany or Poland or somewhere, you know? Why should this happen to the Palestinians? And it's really crazy. You know, what we ought to do is we ought to put troops on the ground and distribute the supplies in Gaza, not hand them over to Israel for them to fence them in and let them spoil and shoot people as they go to get them. What people, I think, really, People don't identify with the Palestinians in most of the West because we're not Muslims. And there are Muslims who are acting subversive, just like the Jews towards us. There are Muslims that want to kill and enslave us too. So people don't see a real reason to like care about the Palestinians. But you need to care about this whole Greater Israel project, and you need to know how the Jews think, because what they would do to the Palestinians, they'd do to the whole world. They believe that everyone is meant to be their slaves. And you know, it's actually easier to deal with the Arabs than the Jews. You know. It really is. Imagine if Israel controlled all the oil in the Middle East and you had to do business with them instead of the Arabs. What a nightmare that would be. And you know, they hate us. They call us Amalek. They want us completely genocided. Do you really think it's a good idea to go destroy every nation around Israel and let Israel have an empire on all the trade routes and have all the oil and be where they can attack Asia, Europe, arm? They have nukes. They have the whole Samson option where they say if they thought that their nation might be destroyed, they'd release their nukes and kill everybody. And then we talk like, there used to be this leader of Iran. It's hard for me to say his name. It's like Ahmed Jabinahad or something. And everybody would like hate him so much. And every time I would see him on the news and that have English subtitles, he was making sense. He was reasonable. The same thing with Bashir al-Assad. They just asked for evidence. They just asked for evidence. You know, even with the Taliban, the U.S. government's really crazy the way they deal with these Arabs. It's pretty much like if the Jews want them dead, then they get dead. If they don't have a Rothschild bank, they got to get a Rothschild bank. But we've really killed some of the most honorable men to put some of the most treacherous, evil people in their place just so we can get some cheap opium in Afghanistan. Just so we can... There's a parable. There's several different variants of it, but normally there's this animal that helps another animal. It helps an animal that's its enemy. Like an alligator tells an animal, get on my head and I'll carry you across the river, and then eats him halfway across, you know. I don't know if the Anglosphere thinks that we can just partner up with these Jews and we're just going to be like, we're all just going to keep getting rich together all the way to the end. It's not going to be like that. At least the Muslims shout and tell you, you know. They're like, until the whole world says there's no God but Allah and Muhammad is his messenger, you know. But the Jews, they're just all quiet. They act like they're your friend, but secretly they hate you. They act like they love you and they're plotting to genocide your children. They also want your children to be transgender. Basically, Israel's position on America is that we must let degenerate freaks molest our children, or else they want to annihilate us. I know that sounds crazy, but a lot of times they say the truth is stranger than fiction. But it really, like in all the media, they want to sexualize the youth. They want to push homosexuality onto us and all this shit. One day, we're going to have a reaction to it. And then they'll call us Nazis in the future or something, you know. If you ever really look into the history of what they were doing to Germany, you'll realize why Germany reacted the way they did. They were doing all that transgender stuff in Germany. The first transgender scientist surgeon was a Jew, and he was in Germany. And he made this college and they were doing all kind of child molestation and all kind of disgusting, horrible stuff. And they were promoting this. Berlin was like this Babylon. It was full of all this filth. And for some reason, we decided to side with the Bolsheviks. Yeah, it's really, this thing happens a lot where good men normally aren't as hungry for power. They're minding their own business. And that the worst people take power. I forget which Greek philosopher made the point. But he said, like, if you stay out of politics, if you stay out of it all, then what winds up happening is your inferior winds up ruling over you. I really, I really just want to farm, make food, hang out with my family, peacefully trade, mind my own business. I don't really have any ill will toward anyone. I do have certain prejudices and biases and opinions, but I'm not out to harm anyone. But every day the news just gets crazier. You can't just have like a normal day without hearing that people have done some bizarre, horrible shit that you would never imagine people would be capable of doing or that they would do, and yet here they are doing it. And then people like sort of like keep as the chief virtue tolerance and acceptance of all things. They'll be like, here's my friend, he's a scoundrel, and people will be like, oh yeah, I accept it, oh that's good, all scoundrels are welcome here. It's just weird. Like, you know, there was a time where Jesus made a whip and cleared, at church they turned the temple into a marketplace, and he drove them out of there. You know, that wasn't very accepting, that wasn't very tolerant. There's some things you shouldn't accept, there's some things you shouldn't tolerate. And it's almost like the nation has like a suicide impulse. I don't even know if they realize it. Like anybody has small children, they can't go to town without someone saying, don't you know how those are made? Like it's a bad thing that you had kids. People are saying, oh, we're overpopulated, even though we're not. We're in danger of population collapse. People are actually out there protesting because they want abortion. They won't kill babies. What the hell is happening? When did America become insane? And it really is insane. When did America decide it was like a good idea to embrace homosexuality and abortion? And it's just suicidal? Like what in the fuck? You know it's mental insanity. Why do people pretend this transgender stuff is real? Like I see people online arguing like they actually believe it. You know they don't believe it. Nobody can really believe that a man is a woman or a woman is a man. Nobody really believes that. Why are people pretending to believe that? Why are there people so cowardly that they're afraid to not say the the politically correct thing, to where they'll pretend all this nonsense? I just can't pretend it. So that's why maybe I should just stay away from most other people, or else I'm just going to say what I'm thinking. But it's really crazy. You know what else is crazy? And I know I've got like, I don't know, I think 20% of my subscribers are female. I'm not trying to lose any subscribers, but female cops and female soldiers. That is like one of the worst ideas humans have ever had. Female cops. Have you seen these videos? How quick they are to get emotionally mad and pull out a gun or want to dominate over men. And then you've seen the ones where people resist, where there's like 3 or 4 women cops and they can't arrest one man if he won't let them without having to kill him. Like he take his hands behind the back, she's trying to cuff him, and he just pulls it around. And it's a bad idea. You need people like linebackers to be cops. You need people that are in shape to be cops. Why do we have some cops that are so big that they'd have a heart attack if they walk from there to there? Do you remember cops in the 90s? Cops in the 90s, nobody was outrunning those cops. Those cops were they were like, phew. Now they don't even, you know, now they're in charge of like managing society and they can't even manage their own body. Which I'm just kind of hating a little bit, because I got a little bit of cop fatigue. I'm kind of tired of them. They're nosier than old people. I swear police are nosier than old people. You know how old people be looking out the window because nothing's going on in their life and they're worried about what their neighbors are doing? Cops are the same way. They're so nosy. They're like, where'd you come from and where are you going? Like, what the hell? I'm getting taxed to pay for you. Why do you need to know where I'm going or what I'm doing? I'm not a subject. I'm a citizen. I'm like a owner of this franchise. What are you? It's none of your business. Now, if I was to say that's none of your business, you're like, well, you're being disrespectful. Or he can like hold me up, wait till my food gets cold, and I start to get upset about it. I'm like, dang, can you hurry this up? You know, I give you permission to search. You ain't found nothing. Now you're taking forever. Like my food's getting cold. Then when I get upset about it, it's like you're being disrespectful. You just disrespected me. Or what about the coward cop that detained? It's like there's me and Brittany. Brittany can't lift more than 10 pounds because of her back surgery. And he keeps saying, he says, is there any weapons in the truck? I say, yeah, my deer rifle is in the back seat. Then he flips out, cross cuffs me. My shoulder's being pulled out of joint. I can't hardly sit down. He doesn't guide my head in the vehicle. The back of my head hits the vehicle. I got a headache for like 3 days. And then he tells the other cop that he forgot to turn his body camera on. He's got Brittany over there where I can't see what's going on. I'm in the back of the seat. And I'm like that in this uncomfortable position with my shoulder because he's afraid. I'm being detained. I'm not under arrest. I haven't committed any crime. And then he lets me go. You're free to go. I'm free to go, but you just treated me like an animal. All my freedom, I was deprived of my freedom. I was put in handcuffs. And then when I get upset about it, you're like telling me I'm being disrespectful. You don't respect, you don't. So, you know, I don't believe in just lawlessness. I don't believe we should totally defund the police. But at the same time, they do too much. Yeah, and it's for you. Yeah, it is ridiculous. You know, most of them are not like that. But Aaron and Noah, they got pulled over and by him. His last name's like Vickers. He does that with everybody. If there's more people there than him, he gets afraid. And he's a big guy too. I don't know why he would be scared. He's bigger than most people, but he's too afraid for the job. He's too afraid for the job, really. And that's when they use too much force. That's when they're too quick to grab a taser or too quick to put people in cuffs. And then when the populace starts resenting them, they think that we're in the wrong. You know, but no matter what title you ever get in life or what position you're ever appointed, respect is not anything you can make. You can't make anyone respect you. Each person has their own set of values. And whether you embody those values or not is going to be whether or not they can respect you or not. So you can kind of feel that everyone should respect you, but it's an unreasonable ask because what one person respects, another person hates. So you're never going to be respected by everyone. And it's a sign that you're doing something right. You know, if certain people, there's a certain way that a society can be structured where to be appointed the leader or to have the most money really means you're just a bad person. Now, in an honest system, that's not true. In a system that rewards merit, you know, the best rise to the top. But you just can't, you're not going to get everyone's respect. You know, like people hated Jesus. So you can't please everyone. Everyone's not going to be happy. But if you want people to respect you, you've got to reach a certain standard so that they can. It's an unreasonable ask to just say, well, respect me because I can use force on you. Respect me or I will hurt you. Respect me or I will kill you. No matter what, you can never force respect out of someone. Now, maybe they will fake it. Maybe they will be polite. Maybe they will pretend to respect for the sake of their survival or something. But respect really comes from the heart. And you have to inspire respect. You have to be worthy of respect to be respected. And so some people, there's nothing about them that compels anyone to choose them as a leader. There's nothing about them that is respectable. There's nothing about them that is inspiring. But they can feel respected by getting a job that gives them fake respect all day long. They can wear a badge and people will treat them with a certain amount of respect. But that doesn't mean they truly respect them. It's not the real thing. It's a counterfeit. Now, you can do that job and serve honorably and have real respect. So, you know, I respect Tootle. He used to work for the sheriff's department. And, you know, I have some respect for Giles. I think he's a fair man, really. But I don't have respect for it's kind of on a case-by-case basis. I'm not one of those people that are like,
end the police or defund the police or all police are bad. I don't believe that. But I do think there are some bad ones. And it's really hard to hold them accountable because you cannot personally sue them. You'd have to sue the whole city, and then you're fighting the whole state. And so a lot of this qualified immunity, and it causes problems. It causes problems in holding them accountable. And then humans are tribalistic by nature. So there's kind of a us versus them. They're in a group. They go out and hunt people. They start looking at everyone kind of as suspects of criminals, and they kind of, and they get used to it. People can kind of get spoiled. They get used to people kind of being, what's that word? They get used to people groveling at them, and it messes with their ego. That's why there's like a lot of spousal abuse in that occupation. They're anyway. I'm not gonna make too many more judgments about it. One, I've never had the job, so maybe if I was a cop, I'd see the other side and I'd feel differently about things. But I do think a lot of them are too heavy-handed, and a lot of them don't know their place. And one day, we hope that the social order just stays in place. But if something was to ever happen catastrophic enough that the social order broke down, a lot of them would really regret a lot of their life decisions. Real quick. Yeah, that's the way it is. There's good and bad. It's like that Paul McCartney song, Ebony and Ivory. There's good and bad. I don't know all the lyrics, but there's good and bad, and all different types of people. Like, really, me, myself, as an individual, there's good and bad in me. I'm not 100% good. I want to be. But humans are somewhere in the middle between an angel and a demon. We've got real potential in either direction.